Welcome all. Today we are just going to see the topic on knowledge representation using rules, using semantic nets, and using the frame interferences. So first of all, we have been represented with the diagrammatic representation of knowledge representation and reasoning. So it have been classified into logic. There are two different types of logics are there: propositional logic and predicate logic, followed by rules, followed by the semantic net, and followed by the frames. So let me see one by one. So first we'll be taking as in logic. Logic represents knowledge using formal statements and allows for reasoning. So two categories are there: propositional logic and predicate logic. Propositional logic, so using the simple statements that can be either true or false. Either we can be represented with zeros or ones, or yes or no. It can be represented with some boolean representation also by using of simple statements. Combines the statement by using and or not. The example, let me take the statement as P, it is raining. Q is said to be as an road is wet. Rule that we are just going to apply: P tends to Q. If P is true, then Q is true. And it is very easy to simple for analyzing and understand by the humans. So next logic is predicate logic. It is in first order logic. It is mainly of more expressive than propositional logic, using of objects, properties, and relationship. Example: human a rom, human of a rom. Human of x that can be represented and tends with mortal of x, therefore mortal of rom. That can be also represented by the complex knowledge. Moving to the next representation, it is of rule. It will be followed by if then condition rules. So knowledge is represented as rules. So if condition, then action, conclusion. If fever equal to yes and cough equal to yes, then the disease is flu. So the applications that can be used with the rules, that can be of expert system, medical diagnosis. Semantic network. It is shortly represented as a semantic net. Knowledge is represented as a graph with nodes and links. Nodes can be represented in the terms of objects and concepts. Link can be represented with the relationship. The good example for semantic network: bird is a bird that tends to be is a, it's an animal. Sparrow which tends to is a bird. Bird can fly, it's a moral of the example. Google knowledge graph is a real world example, and it can be easily visualization of the relationship. Going to the next thing that will be often fourth is said to be as a frame. It's a data structure that stores the knowledge using a slots and filters. Frame can be represented as an object, slot can be represented as an attributes, filters can be represented as an value. Example: frame equal to student. The slot will be name, age, course and college. Filter will be Ravi and the age is 20. Course will be of AI. College will be of any XYZ. Organizes the knowledge efficiency is an advantage. And next to it, script. It represents the knowledge about a sequence of events in a particular situation. Example, if you take it as a restaurant script, customer enters the restaurant. Then customer sits on a table. Waiter gives the menu. Customer orders the food. Food is served. Customer pays the bill. And first, finally, customer leaves from the restaurant. It is a main thing for understanding the common activities and predicting next action. So this is about the knowledge representation, and mainly it is for using to store the information and perform the reasoning for the intelligent decision making. Next, we are going to represent the representation, how we are just going to represent in three ways. Mainly, it is focusing on storing the knowledge in the structural format, and it's also used for the knowledge to solve the problems, answer the questions and make the decision. So first of all, the representation that can be of three ways. One is of logical representation, semantic network, and frames. So already we have been gone through that particular thing. Logic represents the knowledge using the formal statements and the rules. Propositional logic and the predicate logic are the more examples of it. Then rules. Next is semantic network. Semantic networks can be represented with the knowledge as a graph. That is also we have been saw with the example of animal with a bird as well as the sparrow. Next is frames. So this is again we can be represented with the data structure used to represent a object and attributes. So that is a representation of it. And finally we'll be having Sri about this thing in the previous slide. So now knowledge representation using rules. There are two different types of representing the knowledge by using the rules. One is procedural knowledge and another one will be of declarative knowledge. So let me see one by one. Procedural knowledge. Procedural knowledge is also said to be as an imperative knowledge. So it's a knowledge of how the perform of a task or how to do something. So to perform a task, how to perform and do something is said to be as a procedural knowledge. It is also used to describe the steps, procedures or methods required to achieve the goal. So now to how to it's a procedural language or procedural knowledge. It focuses on how a task is performed rather than what is known. It is also contains the instructions and procedures. Example, how to drive a car, how to prepare a tea, and how to install a software in a system. Second is controlling the information is also an embedded. The sequence of action is stored within the knowledge itself, but it tells both what to do and how to do. And receipt not only the list ingredients but also gives a cooking steps for it. It's a good example for embedding the control information. Represented as a procedure or a programs, often stored in computer programs, algorithms, rules and instructions. So enter the username, enter the password and finally click on to the login button. So the real-time examples that for a procedural knowledge that can be represented as cooking a vegetable curry. Wash a vegetable, cut the vegetables, heat in the oil, add the species in the oil, add the vegetables, cook for 15 minutes and serve it. The sequence of steps it can be represented as an procedural knowledge. So that can be included and encoded with the rules, strategies, procedures, agendas and programs. Especially the procedures, especially in the artificial intelligence, is to solve the problems or to complete the performance of task. The advantages of procedural knowledge will be of easy to execute, efficient for task oriented problems, directly tells how to perform an action. The disadvantage, it's difficult for modifying and also hard to explain the reasoning behind the action, less flexible than the declarative knowledge. So this is about the procedural knowledge. So next will be of declarative knowledge. So sorry, procedural knowledge will be having an example for it. So procedural knowledge, the example can be of man of Marcus, that can be represented in the terms of man is a Marcus is a man. Man of Caesar, Caesar is a man. Person of Cleopatra, Cleopatra is a person, and for all of man of X that can be tends to person of X, all men are persons. So apply the rule, man of X tends to person of X. So this means if someone is a man, then the person is also a person. Since man of Marcus and man of Caesar, we can infer person of Marcus and person of Caesar. So we already have person of Cleopatra. So query. So that will be of a person of Y. So who is a person? The knowledge base gives the three valid answers. Y equal to Marcus, Caesar and Cleopatra, because all three are satisfied with the predicate of person of Y. So the predicate of person of Y is true, Marcus, Caesar and Cleopatra. The query has multiple solutions. What if only one answer is needed? The system may return the first matching answer. It finds it searched in the order Marcus tends to Caesar tends to Cleopatra. The first answer written may be Y equal to Marcus. If the search order changes, a different answer may be written. So this is about the procedure of it. Next to it, we'll be seeing about the concept of Declarative knowledge. So declarative knowledge is also said to be as a descriptive knowledge. So it's a knowledge that describes facts, concepts, objects, events and relationship. It focuses on what is true rather than how to do it. So it is also represented in the other terms called descriptive knowledge, conceptual knowledge and propositional knowledge. So knowledge stored as a fact. So declarative knowledge that can be contains the facts and information truly with the names of static. Example, India as a country, Chennai is in Tamil Nadu. So these are the statement describes facts but does not explain about how to use them. So it also explains and describe about the objects and relationship. It represents the concepts, objects, facts and relationship. So example, bird of Tweety. Bird of X equal to animal of X. So Tweety is a bird and every bird is an animal, and specifies what, not how. Declarative knowledge tells what the knowledge is but not how to process it. Example, capital of India, comma, New Delhi. The fact states that New Delhi is the capital of India. How to find the capital and how to search the database. So since we are just been displaying about it, so the advantages of declarative knowledge, it's easily understandable and modifiable. Knowledge can be updated independently, more flexible and general, that can be of procedural knowledge suitable for the expert system and databases. So moving to the data that is of disadvantages, so execution may be slower, reasoning is performed separately, requires an interference engine to process the facts. So let me see about the difference between them. So procedural knowledge and declarative knowledge. It is also known as a interpretive knowledge. Whereas declarative it is a descriptive knowledge as well as propositional knowledge. So here procedural knowledge that can be represented how to do something, whereas declarative knowledge that can be of describes what is true. So in procedural knowledge, it stores only the procedures as well as the steps, whereas declarative knowledge that can be represented to store the facts and the relationship, means how a particular thing that can be accomplished in a procedural knowledge. Declarative knowledge here that can be represented and means with the knowledge about the something. So generally it is not used means it is not popular. It is more popular in the declarative knowledge. Cannot easily communicate, but descriptive can be easily communicated with it. So in declarative it is easy to modify, and in procedural it is difficult to modify, and the task specific will be considered in procedural knowledge, whereas declarative will be of more general. So debugging and validation is not easy in the procedural knowledge. So debugging and validation is very easy in the declarative knowledge. So that is about it. And so the other thing with the example that can be represent knowledge about how to do something. Example, to determine if the Peter or Robert is older, first find their ages. Declarative knowledge about it, that the something is true or false. A car has 4 tires. Peter is older than Robert. And especially in procedural knowledge, focuses on task that must be performed to reach a particular objective or a goal. Refers to representation of an objects and events, knowledge about the facts and relationship. The few examples of procedural knowledge that can be of procedures, rules, strategies, agendas and models are the good example for communicating with the procedural knowledge. The concepts, objects, facts, proposition, assertion, semantic nets, logic and descriptive or the declarative knowledge. These are the examples of declarative knowledges. So now we'll be moving to the other type of reasoning, forward reasoning as well as backward reasoning. So there are two different types. Okay, so initially in a search procedure, so we are just going to have with the basic type of reasoning as well as knowledge representation. So the procedure must be finding the path between initial state, that is of a start state, and then goal state. This can be done in two different ways. One will be of forward reasoning and another will be of an backward reasoning. In the other terms, it can be represented as an forward chaining and backward chaining. So let me see about the forward chaining. So forward reasoning or forward chaining, it starts from the initial state, that is in start state, and and applies all the rules repeatedly until the goal state is reached. So match the if left hand side part of the rules with the known fact. When a rule is satisfied, execute the then right hand side part. Generate the new fact and finally continue until the goal is found. So general form, if condition is true, then followed with the then conclusion. So A, it isn't raining. Rules that we are just going to apply it. If it is raining, then road is wet. If road is wet, then it will be of traffic is slow. So raining, road wet and traffic slow. Goal will be reached with the traffic slow. So the characteristics of representing the forward chaining, it starts from the known data, move towards the goal. Also, it is said to be as an data-driven reasoning. The applications that can be used with the forward chaining will be of expert system, monitoring system, and predication system. The advantages of using a forward chaining, the goal whenever many facts are available, finds all possible conclusion, but the disadvantages or drawbacks will be of may generate the unnecessary facts, can be slow whenever the rule maybe exist. So the backward chaining will be of it is also a backward reasoning. So it starts from the goal states. It's a reverse process. It starts from the goal state and works backward to determine whether the goal can be proved from the known facts. So the working principle it will be starts with the goal. Find the rule whose conclusion matches the goal. Check whether the rule's conditions are true. Continue the backward until reaching known facts. So the goal will be of traffic slow will be the goal. The rules that we are just going to apply in the reverse order. If the road is wet, then traffic will be slow. If it is raining, then road will be wet. So the traffic will be slow, then the road will be wet, and finally it will be of raining. So the known fact, the raining equal to true. So therefore, road wet equal to true, traffic slow equal to true. That will be of goal to the initial state. So it's generally starts from the goal, works backward towards the facts. Also, it is an goal-driven reasoning. So the applications that can be used with the backward chaining, it will be of theory proving, left-hand side equal to right-hand side, that is of theory proving, diagnosis system, and query answering. Advantages of an backward chaining that will be of more efficient than the specific goal, avoids unnecessary rule checking. Disadvantages will be of non-suitable when many goals exist, requires a clearly defined goal. So this is about the forward reasoning and backward reasoning, and it can be represented as an forward chaining and backward chaining about it. So next will be of knowledge representation using a semantic net. So generally the semantic net we already know about it. It's a network. It's knowledge representation technique in which AI can be represented with an graphical network. So here there are two different characteristics or parameters that we are just going to used in a semantic network. One is a node and other one will be of arc, or we can be represented in the term of arc that can be represented as a link. Node represents the objects, concepts or entities, where arcs or links represents the relationship between the objects. So it's a predicate logic that can be easily understandable, visualized and extend. So there are two different types of relations that we are using in the knowledge representation using a semantic nets. One is of is-here relationship and another will be of kind of relationship. Is-here relationship, it is exactly with the concept of inheritance. Shows that the object belongs to the class and inheritance inherits the properties. It can be represented as parent-child relationship. Cat is a mammal. Mammal is a animal. So therefore, cat inherits the properties of mammals and animals. Kind of relation is a second category. Shows that one category is a type or a subclass of an other category. Cat a kind of mammal. Mammal kind of animal. So the given statements we can take it as an example. Jerry is a cat. Jerry is a mammal. Jerry is owned by Priya. Jerry is brown colored. So the how to represent in the kind of with the semantic representation. So node we will be separating with all the names of Jerry, cat and other thing, and relationship will be of is a owned by and color. The node will be of Jerry is a cat. Cat is a mammal. Jerry owned by Priya. Jerry color will be of brown. So the node will be of cat, mammal, Priya and brown. So since it is having an inheritance property, Jerry can be tensed with cat, cat can be tensed with mammal. So we can infer with the Jerry tends to mammal. This is called as an inheritance, where Jerry inherits the properties of cat and mammal. So the advantages of using a semantic network: easy to understand and visualize. It shows the relationship clearly, and it also supports the inheritance of the properties. Easy to expand by adding the new nodes and the links. Disadvantages: so it will be of difficult to represent the complex logic rules. Large network can be become the more complicated than other. So next is semantic network. So the explanation which is already given, so I'll be representing with some few points. So semantic network is a knowledge representation technique used in artificial intelligence to represent the knowledge as a graph or interconnected nodes and arcs. Nodes represent the concept or objects. The link represents the relationship between those concepts. So the components, the nodes. So nodes can be represented entities, attributes, events, and values. Entities, we can take it as an example of animal, car, or person. Attribute will be of color or size. Event will be of either examination or birthday parties. Values will be of either red, large, or in the terms of percentage like 90, 95 percentage. So examples: dog, animal, Ravi and brown. Link, that can be of arc, shows the relationship between the nodes. So example will be of is a, as a, part of, color, owns, from the previous example. So consider the previous example. We will be taken as Jerry is a cat, cat is a mammal, Jerry is a brown, Priya owns a Jerry. So this is the example. So here the main advantages, it will be of easy to understand and visualize, supports the inheritance concept of properties, easy to extend by adding the new nodes and links. So this is the diagrammatic representation, how the knowledge representation using a semantic nets that can be explained overview. So the diagram represents the knowledge using the semantic nets. The nodes that can be represented as an objects or concepts that can be of circles or a oval, arrows that arcs that can be represented with the relationship between those objects. So knowledge represented in the diagram. So Jerry is a cat. So the arrow labeled is a, from Jerry to cat means Jerry is a cat. Cat is a mammal. So the arrow labeled is a, from cat to mammal means cat is a mammal. Mammal is an animal. The arrow labeled is a from mammal to animal means mammal is an animal. Jerry is owned by Priya. The arrow labeled is owned from Jerry to Priya means Jerry is owned by Priya. Jerry is white colored. The arrow labeled is white color is a colored from Jerry to white means Jerry is white in color. So inheritance property will be of is a relationship, that is of Jerry tends to cat, cat tends to mammal, mammal tends to animal. We can infer with Jerry is a mammal, Jerry is an animal. So that exact diagrammatic representation can be represented with the semantic nets will be of, the nodes will be Jerry, cat, mammal. Relationship will be is a, is owned and is color. And the node, how we are just going to conclude with the relationship. The node will be of Jerry, relationship is a, node will be of cat. The node will be of cat, is a is a relationship, mammal is a node. Mammal is a node, is a is a relationship, animal will be of node. Jerry is a node, is owned by is a relationship, Priya is a node. Jerry is a node, is colored is a relationship, white is a node. So since the semantic network shows that the final conclusion of it, Jerry is a cat is a mammal, mammal is an animal, Jerry is owned by Priya, Jerry's color is white. So inheritance, that we can conclude with the Jerry is a mammal and an animal. How the semantic network represents the knowledge using the nodes and the relationship between in the graphical manner or graphical format. So the drawbacks representation with the knowledge representation of using semantic nets. So let me see the advantages first. So first advantages will be of natural representation of knowledge. So semantic networks represents the knowledge in a way similar to how the human thinks. Objects and the relationship are shown graphically. Jerry is a cat that tends to cat. Cat is an animal which tends to a mammal. This makes how the knowledge can be easily visualized. Transparent meaning is a second point. So it is having the relationship between the concepts or clearly visible user that can be easily understand how the objects are connected. So here the Jerry is owned by the Priya. Anyone can immediately understand that the Priya owns Jerry. Third point will be of simple and easily understand. So by using of nodes and links, it can be easily learned and interpret. Suitable for representing large amount of interconnected data. So moving to the drawbacks or disadvantages of semantic representation or semantic network. So it takes the more computational time. So to answer the query, the system may need to traverse many nodes and links. In large network, searching can be become very slow. So to find that Jerry is an animal, the system checks Jerry tends to cat, cat tends to mammal, mammal intends to animal. So second point will be of difficult to build a very large networks. So since human memory contains enormous number of concepts and relationship, creating and maintaining such a huge semantic network is difficult in practice. Cannot represent quantifier properly. So semantic network that does not naturally represents logical quantifier such as all, some and none. So this is very easier to represent the predicate logic than in the semantic network. Fourth point, no standard meaning or definitions for the particular link. Different designers may use different link names. One network may use owns. Other network they can be used as possesses. So this can create a ambiguity. And the last point of the drawback, it depends on the knowledge designer. The quality of the network that can be depend on how well it can be designed. The network itself is not intelligent, but it also stores the relationship provided by the creator. So this is about the knowledge representation using semantic nets, the advantages as well as disadvantages. So next, moving to the second part, that is of knowledge representation using a frames. So we already know about the frame. So frame is a knowledge representation technique that stores the information about the object, concept or event in a structural format. So it is similar to record, table or object in a programming and consists of slots and filters, that is of attributes or properties, and filters can be represented as an slot values of those attributes. The frame representation is also known as slot filter representation. So it will be having a slot 1, slot 2, slot 3 slot. Each and every slot will be having a value that entire contains the frame. So that will be of name, age, course, college slot, and Ravi, the number age is 20, the course will be of A and college will be of X, Y, Z. These are the filters. What is meant by slot over here? The slots are the attributes used to describe the object. For example, if you're just going for any car, so slot will be of brand, color and fuel. Value will be of Toyota. The color will be of white and fuel will be of petrol or diesel. So here the other terms that can be represented in the second paragraph as an facets. So facets are the additional informations or constraint about the slot. So it can specify with the default value, allowed values, conditions and procedures over here. So if needed, so the example it has been represented. So if needed facet is used whenever the value is not stored directly, and must complete it whenever it requests. So example, age equal to current year minus the birth year. The age is calculated only when the information is needed. So relationship between within the semantic network. So that is will be of a third paragraph. Frames evolved with the semantic networks. Jerry tends to cat tends to mammal. So frames organize the same knowledge in a structural format. So the real-time features that can be used with the knowledge that can be stored only in a structure. Easy to add a new slots, supports inheritance concept, and it will be of similar to classes and objects in an object oriented programming concepts. The real time applications that can be used with the knowledge representation using frames, which are NLP, expert system, machine vision, computer vision, knowledge based system. The advantages of knowledge representation using a frames will be of easy to understand and organize the knowledge, support inheritance of properties, efficient to represent objects and situation, flexible or extensible. Disadvantages will be of difficult to complete the complex relationship, using of very complex, it uses of larger frame system, requires careful design of a slot and facet. Moving to the next slide, knowledge representation using with the example 1. So here the example for a frame of book and slot will be given. So we can imagine, we can know about the frame representation stores the knowledge about the book using a slots and filter. Frame will be of book, slots will be of an attributes of the book, filters the value assigned to the each and every attributes of it. So title can be represented as an artificial intelligence. The name of the book will be of artificial intelligence. Genre will be of an computer science. The book belongs to the computer science category. Author will be of Peter Novick. The book was written by Peter Novick. Edition will be of third edition. This is an third edition of the book. Year will be of 1996. The book was published in 1996. Page will be of 1152. The book contains totally of 1152. So here why is we are just going to set to be as a frame. The frame groups that contains all the information about the object or book into the single structure. Book is a frame, title, genre, author, edition, year, page or slots. The corresponding values are the filter. So advantages of using a frames that can be of organized in the storage of information, easy to retrieve the data, easy to add the new slots, similar to classes and objects in an object oriented programming. Next example we'll be having with the person using a slots of attributes and filters of values. So here the object is Peter, the slot of the attribute and filter of the value that can be represented with name, profession, age, marital status, weight. Name will be of Peter, person name is Peter, profession will be of doctor, that Peter works as a doctor. Age will be of 25. The Peter is 25-year old. Marital status is single. Peter is unmarried. Weight is 78 kg. Peter weight is 78. So this frame helps in AI system quickly retrieve the information about the Peter without searching through the many separate facts. So the advantages of using this type of an frame will be of easier programming. So related information is grouped together in one frame. All the details of Peter are stored in single frame instead of multiple statements. Second will be of flexible structure. So new attributes can be added whenever needed. So add a new slot. Nationality will be of British. Easy to add a new information. Slots and values can be modified without affecting our other data. Email will be of any xyz or peter@gmail.com can be added later. Supports the default data and default value and missing data. The frames can be stored default value and identifying the missing information. Gender will be of male of default and phone number will be of unknown. And finally, easy to understand and visualize. The slot value format is resembles with a form or a database record. It can be easy to make a simple for the humans to read. So this is the explanation of an example of knowledge representation using a frames. So moving to the disadvantages of frame representation, interference mechanism is not easily processed. since the frames are mainly used to store the information, not to perform complex reasoning. It is also difficult to automatically derive new facts from the existing information. So inference cannot be smoothed processed since the frame representation lacks more powerful reasoning capabilities compared to the logic based systems. Complex queries and detections require extra mechanism. So who among all employees can manage a hospital? A frame system can store employee details, but finding the answer may require additional reasoning rules, making the process less efficient. And third point will be of frame representation is highly generalized. The frames provide a general structure for representing the knowledge. They can be most effectively represent complex relationship, expansion, and detailed logical conditions. A frame can be stored. A bird can be have a color and wings. So the penguin is a bird but cannot be fly. So this is about the disadvantages of frames by using of knowledge representation. Next, the third part is a knowledge representation using a production rule. So here we will be concentrating with condition action pair. Condition action pair is a rule is used in an AI and expert system. It specifies what action should be taken whenever the particular condition is true. So if the condition, then action, conclusion. If a part, condition, premise or antecedent, then a part, action, result, conclusion or consequence. If the example, if the traffic light is red and you have stopped, then a right turn is okay. Traffic light is a red, vehicle have been stopped. Condition is if part. Action and conclusion, then part, right turn is allowed. So the action is executed only when both the conditions are satisfied. How it works? An AI system continuously checks whether the conditions are true. If it is fever, yes, and cough is yes, then disease is flu. The facts will be fever and cough will is yes, and disease will be of flu over here. So moving to the production rules, it can be of easy, simple, and very understandable in nature. Easy to add the new rules widely that can be used in the applications of expert system and decision making systems. Next, the production rules with some characteristics. So generally production rules will be follow if then rules used to represent expert knowledge in an AI system and expert systems. Each production rule represents the autonomous chunks of expertise. So states that every rule contains small piece of a knowledge about the specific situation, each and every rule that can be work independently. So whenever we are just going to combine and fed into the interference engine, the rules become synergetically. So single rule can have limited information. Many rule working together can solve more complex problems. The interference engine applies the rules and combines the result. If the temperature greater than 100 degree Celsius or Fahrenheit, then it will be a fever. If fever and cough, then flu. So facts, temperature equal to 102 degree Fahrenheit, cough equal to yes. The interference engine first applies rule 1 and concludes the fever. Then it uses rule 2 and concludes flu. Then multiple rules work together to reach the final destination. Moving to the third point, rules simulate the cognitive behavior of human experts. Every experts can make their decision by using the experience as well as the knowledge. Production rules also intimate or imitate the decision making process. Rules represents the model of actual human behavior. There are some rules that can capture how the humans can solve the problems and making their decision. The system behaves similarly to an expert by the human. So traffic expert will be of if the signal is red, then stop the vehicle. So the same rule that can be represented with the human traffic officer that will be followed with it. And fifth point, predominant technique used in an expert system. So since it is mostly used in the expert system, there are simpler, modular and easy to operate it. So the example that can be of loan approval system, fault detection system and customer support systems. So these are the production rules that can be used with it. So now we'll be moving to the formation of rules. That is a forms of rules. So if premise then conclusion. So a production rules consist of two parts. That is of if part, that will be of premise. The condition must be true. So conclusion part then part, the result that follows the if the condition is true, then it will be follows with the production rules. So if your income is high, then your chance of being admitted or audited by the inland revenue is high. So premise will be your income is high. Conclusion, your chance of being audited is high. People with the higher income are more likely to be audited by the tax department. So that will be often good example for it. So the other example, so these are the characteristics rule that with the if then premise rule. So names will be of first part will be of premise, antecedent, situation, if. Second part conclusion, consequence, action, and then nature will be condition, similar to the declarative knowledge, but second part will be of procedural knowledge. Size will be can have many if conditions, and second part usually only one conclusion will be there. Statement will be and statement, all the condition must be true for a conclusion to be true, or statement if any condition is true, the conclusion is true. Next we will be moving to the production system. So this is the diagrammatic representation of production system. So generally the production system is a rule based program or problem solving system used in the artificial intelligence. So it consists of production rules, that is of if then, a working memory and control mechanism that decides which rule to apply. So let me see what are the components available. One will be of production rule, working memory, conflict set, conflict resolution, and finally environment. Production set, it used to store the condition action pair. C1 tends to A1, C2 tends to A2, and finally Cn tends to An, where C is the condition if part, A is the action then part. If fever is yes, then disease equal to flu. Is a good example. The collection of all such rules forms the knowledge base. Moving to the second part, it will be of working memory. It stores the current facts, data, and state of the problem. Information from the environment is placed here. So temperature equal to 102 degrees Fahrenheit, cough equal to yes. So these are the facts that can be stored in the working memory. Moving to the third one, it will be of conflict set. After comparing the rules with the fact in working memory, several rules may be applicable. All applicable rules can be placed in a conflict set. So fever equal to yes, cough equal to yes, that is stored in the working memory. The matching rules will be rule 1 if the fever then infection, rule 2 if fever and cough then flu. Both rules match, so both enter the conflict set. So next we will be moving to the conflict resolution. Chooses one rule from each conflict set, decides which rule should be executed the first. So highest priority rule, most specific rule, first match rule. So these are the common strategies that can be involved in a conflict resolution. Finally, how the environment can be adopted with this all four different types of blocks. The outside world that can be provides the information to the system. New facts can continuously added to the working memory from the environment. So now, what is the working model of production system? How it is works? So the real facts, the facts from the environment are stored in the working memory. Then the system checks which production rule can satisfy the current facts. And finally, it can be creates the conflict set by matching all the rules can be collected with it. Conflict resolution will be of one rule is selected from the conflict set. The selected rule is fired and its action can be performed. And finally, updating the working memory. Whenever the new facts are added, the cycle repeats until the goal is reached. So the good example for production rule is if temperature greater than 100 degree Fahrenheit, then fever. If fever and cough are then flu. So temperature equal to 1 or 2 degrees Celsius, cough equal to S will be of working memory. Execution rule 1 matches, fever is added, working memory becomes temperature equal to 102 degree Fahrenheit, cough is yes, fever is equal to yes. Rule 2 matches conclusion, flu equal to yes. So this is why the environment provides the facts, working memory stores the facts, production rules are checked again with the facts, matching rules use the conflict set, conflict resolution selects one rule, selected rules upon the working memory, then finally it can be processed with the until the solutions have been found with it. So this is about the production systems. So the major advantages of rules are it is easily understand, easy to derive the inference and explanations, easy to modify and maintain, easy to combine with the uncertainty. Rules are frequently independent. So the limitations of rules will be complex knowledge requires many rules, limitations and systems with the many rules. So these are the additional apart from that semantic representation using rules as well as production. There are different types of inferences are there. There are first of all, we know about the inference. Inference is the process of deriving new knowledge or conclusion from the existing facts and rules. There are three different types of inferences are there. One is deduction, second one is induction, third one is abduction. Let me see one by one. First is detection. So detection is general or it can be represented as a specific. So it can be derives a specific conclusion from general roots or facts. If the premises are true, the conclusions is guaranteed to be true. So generally it can be represented with the general rule, fact or conclusions. So here it can be represented with the um, all kids are naughty will be of axiom, fact will be of Ria is kid, conclusion is a Ria is naughty. So from this statement we can identify therefore the all kids are naughty from that axiom and from that fact Ria is kid we are just going to concluding with the naughty. So so it will be provides the conclusion will be of Ria is naughty. So the other example we can be represented as an so all humans are mortal, fact will be Socrates human, conclusion is an mortal. So produces logical correct conclusion, high accuracy when premises are true, easy to verify. So these are the advantages by concluding the axiom and facts. By disadvantages will be of requires complete and correct knowledge, cannot generate the new general rules, limited whenever the information is incomplete. So the applications used in the detection of the inference will be of expert system will be using medical diagnosis, legal reasoning, mathematics concept and rule based system. So this is about the detection. Moving to the next concept will be of induction. It is specific general. It can be derives the rule generally from the multiple specific observation. So the observation can be of general rule. We can take it as an example. Ria is a kid. Ria is naughty. General axiom which can be derived with kids are naughty. So we can take it as another example. Crow 1 is black. Crow 2 is black. Crow 3 is black. All crows are black. The conclusion is probable, but it is not guaranteed. So machine learning system that can be observed with students can study with 4 hours is pass, student can be study with 5 hours is also pass, students C can be studied with 6 hours is also pass, students who study more than 3 to 4 hours can be pass, tend to be pass. So the advantages of using induction inference, it helps to discover the new knowledge, learn a pattern from the data based on the machine learning and deep learning concept. Disadvantages will be conclusions may be incorrect. It requires many observation based on the fact and axioms, not logically certain. Applications will be machine learning, data mining, deep learning, pattern recognition, market analysis, and finally weather forecasting. So these are the applications that can be used with the induction inference. Moving to the last part of the inference that will be of abduction inference. It is mainly based on the observation based explanation. So it starts with the observation and finds most likely explanation. So the structure will be observation will be processed with the cause. The premise can be derived from the known axiom and some observation. So consider the example for it. All kids are naughty. Ria is naughty. The information available, we can infer the Ria must be a kid. So based on the other example, if it is rains, the road became wet. The observation will be of road is wet. Possible conclusion, it may have rain. The conclusion is not certain because there may be other reasons washing the road or water leakage. So this is a good example of it. So the advantages which can be represented with the observation and axiom with works on incomplete information, used for diagnosis and troubleshooting, helps to generate the hypothesis. These are the advantages. Moving to the drawbacks of it, conclusions are uncertain, multiple explanation may exist, requires the further verification. Finally, the applications can be represented using a fault detection, criminal investigation, scientific research, medical diagnosis are the drawbacks of it. So this is about the uh, abduction. So to refer in the summary part, deduction can be generated and deduction will be of reasoning from the general rules to specific conclusion. Induction will be reasoning from the specific observation to general rule. Abduction will be reasoning from the observation to the most explanation. So these are about the types of inferences. Thank you.